disturbance to call 482 Morningstar Lake Road. It's hard to explain this request.
A gruesome murder in Rutherford County. Sheriff Chris Francis confirms the remains of 2 people were found in Forest City. News 13's Andrew James has been on the scene much of the day and is following the latest developments tonight, along with new reaction from concerned neighbors.
We were out at this scene on Morningstar Lake Road, and most neighbors did not want to go on camera, but say they are very concerned. Rutherford County's sheriff confirms they were called to this scene Monday afternoon about 2 possible deaths. This is 34-year-old Matthew Cooley. He's now charged with murder and the death of 44-year-old Jason Dean Van Dyke. Investigators found his remains at the property on Morningstar Lake Road. The remains of 42-year-old Tracy Renee McKinney were also found there. The sheriff tells me she was reported missing by her family the day after Christmas. We also know that Cooley is charged with 2 counts of dismembering or destroying human remains and 2 counts of failing to notify law enforcement about the deaths. The property where this happened is down a dirt road. We could see numerous no trespassing signs from the main road. I talked to one neighbor who says they see law enforcement at this property multiple times a month, and he says something needs to be done.
They need to clean that up down there, find out what went on and clean it up for good. Even if it means the county taking over the land. I ain't got no problem with that. As long as somebody does something, it's getting out of hand.
Now, I did ask the sheriff about the condition of the remains and where exactly they were found. He tells me he can't say at this point because it could hurt the investigation. We do know that autopsies are scheduled for Thursday. Matthew Cooley is in the Rutherford County Jail without bond. The sheriff tells me this is an ongoing investigation. We'll bring you any new developments just as soon as we get them.
A Waynesville golf course is getting a makeover, but in the process, it's creating a lot of smoke.
News 13's Rex Hodge reports neighbors are concerned.
New owners took over the Waynesville Inn Golf Resort earlier this year. Modification of the holes taking place, trees and debris piled up, and those debris piles burned, catching the attention of a lot of neighbors.
Smokers are, actually they got 2 burn pits. They got one here and one way in the back.
Jim Bothwell lives next to the ongoing construction.
They start in about 7 o'clock in the morning. You can hear the beep, beep, beep.
He says the work and the combination of smoke and dust create a different view every day.
We see it when it's going, it's like a haze back here.
Folks are calling and complaining about the smoke and the ash.
Waynesville Fire Marshal Daryl Calhoun says the calls come from residents near and far.
Folks who live up Eagle's Nest, who are probably looking down at this and seeing the smoke just hovering there. Is that
and there's
right?
folks around the country club that we receive calls from daily.
Calhoun says the project is following all the rules.
They have a burn permit. They have a burn pit with berms on each side with an excavator. They're doing everything to a T.
So to your knowledge, there's no pollution issue?
No.
Calhoun says there was one occasion when an excavator operator piled too much onto the burn pile, with cold morning air capturing smoke close to the ground.
The temperature inversion, and it looked horrible and smelled horrible and created ash and everything else.
Calhoun says corrections took place right away.
They came and settled their differences and everything worked out.
Calhoun says it's local people coordinating the project, describing them as good stewards.
If I've asked them to hold off for a day because of bad weather or something like that, no problem. They've been great to work with.
Bothwell watches the changing landscape every day, practicing patience.
Progress is what it is. There's no sense complaining about it. It's going to happen.
Calhoun says the burning of the debris piles should wrap up by the end of February.
New at 5, just before the new year, the Asheville Police Department will be out in full force looking for impaired drivers.
News 13's Hannah McKenzie reports the department has seen an uptick in DWI arrests this year.
If you are hitting the road over the next few days, don't be surprised to see a larger presence of law enforcement. They're ramping up patrols, an effort to dissuade drunk driving. Asheville police officers on high alert patrolling for DWI offenders. According to APD, within city limits last year, 218 incidents resulted in a DWI charge. This year, that number stands at 254 so far.
There's been approximately a 16.5% increase in DWI-related incidents from last year.
Leading up to New Year's Eve and in conjunction with the governor's highway safety program, Booze It and Lose It, additional officers will be on the streets, says Lieutenant Jonathan Brown.
If you have had a drink or two, don't get behind the wheel.
Those caught driving while impaired can lose their license, face jail time, and on average pay about $10,000 in fines and fees. And the ultimate cost, a life.
It's blood, it's broken glass, it's burning metal. It's every horrific nightmare that you could think of. And the family of whoever is killed never has the opportunity to say goodbye.
Ellen Pitt has spent the last 18 years advocating with Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
It's just not worth it. It's not worth it to take a life or to injure somebody irrevocably, because you have other options, and we hope you'll be smart enough to use them.
Since 1994, more than 9,000 people have been killed in alcohol-related crashes across North Carolina. That's according to the Department of Transportation.